I'm kind of cold. That's why I'm like shivering because I just ate ice cream and it's winter.
And you don't wear clothes.
Yeah, probably a shirt would help. But F that.
Yeah.
So today we're going to be talking about 6 tips to start a raw vegan diet.
So I think the first tip, and in order to have a really healthy mental attitude about just trying to have a healthier diet, is managing your poor choices. So what that means to me is if, let's say you have a diet plan that you really want to stick to, you need to understand when it's okay to go outside of that and what your limit will be, because it has to somehow fit in with what you're currently doing. You have to pay homage to the rest of your healthy eating habits. So if you're trying to eat a lot of fruits and vegetables, it's so much better to go have something that's fatty and still falls under a whole food category than something really processed.
Yeah,
macronutrient.
Like something with olive oil or coconut oil even. People think that's healthy. That's really on the far end of the spectrum of health for me.
Whole foods are better than processed foods for sure. And even I would stick to that rule over any kind of macronutrient concern that you had to have, like about how many carbs or fat that you're eating. Eating a whole food is more important than that. So like I think coconut and avocado is probably better for you than sugar, but fruit carbs are obviously way better for you than oil or coconut oil or avocado oil for sure.
Number 2, pay attention and gain intuition.
So as you start eating better and you start eating foods that are more hydrating and they contain more fiber, your digestion is going to clear up. And what you eat is going to start to affect you, and it's going to digest a lot quicker than it was before. Things are not going to sit in your stomach nearly as long. So if something is not going to make you feel great, it's going to hit you pretty fast compared to before.
You'd be surprised. Difference. Even something that you think, that maybe that would still be healthy, in comparison to fresh fruits and vegetables, juices and salads, it's a pretty far stretch. And you are going to feel the reason why you're feeling better now. You'll feel the effects of what that food used to do to you.
Mm-hmm. Like before, when I would make a fast food decision, I didn't feel great overall if I ate too much fast food, but it wasn't too much of an immediate thing for me. Then when I started eating better, if I went back to fast food, I felt it right away. It was very hard to even keep it down.
Yeah, you get really tired, lethargic, and you might break out over the next week. I would. Yeah, you feel sick and heavy, and because I went to one of a restaurant with my family, Carlos and Mickey's in El Paso, if you know, but I was just gonna get some cooked vegetables. I'm like, I'll just go. I'll just be social, and I'll just get some vegetable skillet. And they said, it's just the vegetables in the thing. So I'm like, that sounds great. Like I was imagining like steamed vegetables with tortillas and rice, right? And then it comes out and it's covered in oil. It's so thick, like it's basically fried vegetables. And I was like, I'll just eat it because it's in front of me. It's not that bad. It's still vegan, right? So I ate it, and then by the time we got back in the car, I was hard asleep, like right as soon as I sat down in the passenger seat, of course. But yeah, it knocked me out.
Mm-hmm. And it kind of piggybacks on our first tip. Manage your poor choices. When you gain more intuition, you'll want to make healthy choices because the poor choices are not worth it. Like, yeah, it tastes good, but then the after effect, it's just not worth it. So paying attention will help you manage your poor choices because you're going to say to yourself, no, I'm not going to go to McDonald's. I'm going to sit down and eat this bag of almonds instead. Yeah, it's not the best. It's going to make you fall asleep, but it's not going to make you feel terrible tomorrow.
Number 3 is surround yourself with good decisions, because it's pretty much impossible to make good decisions when you're at home. There's nothing in the pantry except for bad food, of course, and you get so hungry and you just want to go for anything that'll satisfy you. You go for something salty, go for like oil or dense calories. And it's really easy to avoid that if you have like a table of bananas. You can go get $26 case of bananas and have them ripe in your house all the time. And that's something you can just snack on immediately as soon as you get hungry. Because if you let yourself get hungry and you try to go shop, you are going to grab
Yeah.
the packaged things first.
Unless, of course, you have already established good habits, then you can go into a grocery store hungry. But no, you do have to surround yourself with good decisions. I'm not going to have a successful day for myself if I leave the house empty-handed with no food.
I always take a meal with me, a smoothie for sure. Like a huge 64-ounce smoothie, I take that if I leave the house. No matter what I'm doing, I mean, if plans go not the way I'm planning, at least I have that. And I'm not going to be hungry and like losing energy because I'm hungry in public. That's not good.
Yeah, and because I'm usually not home when I think I'm going to be home, and it's been... There wasn't even a strawberry in that.
Yeah, I think you should eat the whole fruit if you can.
I don't even remember what we were talking about.
Surrounding yourself with good decisions. And not being afraid to buy a whole bunch of produce when you're at the store. You have to get more than you think that you're going to eat because you'll eat it quicker than you think.
Now I remember. You're not always back when you think that you're going to be back home. You may make another stop or something, and you may get so hungry in the interim that you just want to pop into the grocery store or go to a fast food place or some kind of restaurant, more so than going home. And it's not because like it's a time thing or anything. Like it's just convenient. And you need to give yourself energy to make sure that you don't just make convenient choices, you make healthy choices.
Yeah, it's hard to think well when you're hungry. So you're going to come up with easy solutions.
Because all you think of is how do I get these calories? And the solution isn't going home to do work. No, the solution is going to a restaurant real quick.
Yep. Number 4, manage your expectations and be realistic.
By managing expectations, you can't just start eating a lot of fruits and vegetables. Start eating a little bit of, oils and things too, and think that you're going to have really, really, really great results. Or you can't not eat enough and think that you're going to have great results. There's a lot of people, when they go into some kind of weight loss journey, they'll take on like eating a lot of raw food. And whether or not they realize it, they're still under a mindset of limitation. And they wonder, they're losing weight, but then they're wondering why they don't have enough energy. And it takes a long time for people to understand that you need to eat your carbs.
Yeah. I mean, it just takes time to change your diet, no matter what you're changing it to. Flipping your diet around from standard American to raw vegan, there's gonna be some learning curve there. So you have to be realistic.
And part of being...
Not everyone can just switch over 100% and be like, today I'm 100% raw vegan for the rest of my life. It's not that easy for most people.
No, don't do that. You need to be real. By being realistic, you make small changes that you can stick to over time. Don't try to take on too much. Don't try to take on a totally new diet and something like intermittent fasting. Don't try to take on something like a totally new diet and a bunch of different life experiences at once. Like, you need to have some kind of consistency because things will come up that you're totally unfamiliar with, and you need to understand where they've come from.
If you're adding in a bunch of variables, you're like, I don't feel good today, and you have no idea why.
And you have no idea why, whether it be
because you changed everything.
Whether it be like a physical thing, like you have a stomach ache, because your bowels are tightening up because you're eating more fiber and they're moving things and they're not used to moving, got to get them moving. Or whether it be a mental thing when, you really want to go and eat that fatty thing and you say that oily thing and you say to yourself, no. So there's emotions that come up with that. whether or not you also eat the right thing too. So you have to be realistic about handling all those things. And sometimes it can get really hard when you're just trying to take on too much. So slow change that you can actually stick to. Slow change that you can actually stick to is so much healthier. So much healthier.
Yeah. If you want to add the habits that you can keep.
It's also one of the worst things is going on a totally raw vegan diet and then totally falling off the wagon. Terrible.
It's not because you didn't try.
No, it's because
you just took on too much.
Was not sustainable.
That you could too much to handle.
So this next one's really important.
So number 5, source good produce and get creative.
Don't be afraid to try new things. Don't be afraid to try avenues of gaining produce that you've never heard of before, or that other people told you that like you can't do or something like that, or they won't work with you. In the food world, people are desperate for your business. They really, 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 really want it.
Yeah, you can negotiate for sure.
There is tons of negotiating power available. The only place that you can lose that really is grocery stores. You don't necessarily have a lot of negotiating power there. You can buy cases of things at some stores like Whole Foods, and the prices are coming down at Whole Foods, so case discounts, are getting decent. But ultimately, the best thing that you can do is visit a wholesaler regularly. If you don't go every week, then you should really be buying enough things to process and freeze for a period of time. Otherwise, like you're just, as far as produce and how it ripens and how it stays, deliveries every week, or you need to be buying a lot of fruit and then freezing it for the next couple weeks, and supplementing yourself with vegetables from your local grocery store so that they are fresh and good. But you need to source good produce, and you need to have a good plan. You don't just go to the store and say, "Oh, I'm going to buy breakfast, lunch, and dinner." Like, no, we know that we're not going to be successful.
If you see something good, like for example, yesterday I went and there was in the dollar bin, they put the produce that looks like bruised or wrinkly. They were really ripe bell peppers, or going to ripen.
Well, they were a little bit wrinkly, and that's it.
There were 26 bags of them. And I was like, oh my gosh, these are so good quality. I'm just going to buy all of them right now.
There's 3 peppers in each bag.
Yeah.
And each bag is $1. It's at Kroger. They
33 cents produce. Each. It was pretty good. And so, I didn't feel a second hesitation about, I see a bunch of good produce, so I'm going to buy it. Just when opportunity comes up, you have to not be afraid to go all in.
And you have to find things that, when you're looking at something, whether or not you want to buy it or whether you want to eat it, you need to look at this and say, am I actually going to eat this until I get full?
Yeah.
A lot of the times the answer is no at the store. There's just no way. There's no way I could sit there and eat something until I'm full. Like, that's why we choose to use a lot of different kinds of frozen fruit. Because if we buy fresh fruit here, like fresh berries, there's really only about 2 weeks out of the year that you can actually eat them as a meal. Other than that, they're just totally unripe and they're sour.
They'll put them out and they'll be completely inedible. And like people will I'll watch people like buying them. I'm like no wonder people say they don't like fruit. They don't know how to pick up ripe produce that tastes good. So that's another thing to learn. When it's ripe, when it's good to eat. Don't fill up on a bunch of unripe oranges. You'll feel terrible.
And don't be afraid of using something that's high quality as a staple, as long as you're rounding out your diet with vegetables too, and just trying to get a variety. But ultimately, what leads to success is getting enough high quality produce in you. High quality. It just has to be. It's where your energy comes from.
Yep. So for me, that means eating a lot of dates, a lot of bananas, a lot of apples. Those are good all year. And a lot of greens and algae, which I can get all year. So,
whoop.
You have to find out what you can get that's high quality consistently.
Like, we get a variety of frozen berries.
Yeah,
we get the three berry thing that has blueberries, raspberries, blackberries, and Something
That's
else.
it.
Yeah. Okay.
And then frozen
And then
cherries, frozen strawberries, mango, pineapple.
and I think that's it for the frozen. Pretty
There's
much.
probably more. Oh, peaches were really good.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's a gamble most
Oh,
of the
and
time.
we can start buying dragon fruit. We need to do that. But
Mm-hmm.
that's 9 frozen things right there that you can use on a regular basis. And then also bananas, dates. That's 16 nuts. I can count. That's 11 fruits right there.
I'm not going to try to count. I have no idea.
But then we also eat, a couple different kinds of dehydrated fruits too. Mostly the same stuff.
Yeah, dried mango, mulberries.
But then also, like, you look at like something that we eat every day, simply for the variety, is a tub of spring mix. It has a huge variety in it, and they change up the variety.
Yeah.
It's never the same when you buy it. It's like it does
I
the
feel like
work
they
for you.
I feel like they put whatever's good at the moment.
Whatever they can grow at that moment in time is what they throw in, and it's it's washed, which is nice, I guess. It's just the huge variety and the fact that it's super tender, and when you chew it up, you actually are going to get a lot out of it because the cellulose is more tender than more mature leaves. That's a wonderful food option. That's so many different kinds of greens. There's probably, I think that I've probably seen well over 50 greens over the course of time on there, if not more. But even in one package, there's at least 10. So like in a day, you're getting a lot of different kinds of foods. And granted, that spring mix isn't a ton of calories, but we eat it every day, basically, and it changes all year round. And it's
really important to get that vegetable fiber in. Aid in pushing anything that's lodged out from eating a good diet. Just keeps things moving. It's good. Okay, and number 6.
It's the social part.
Don't seek others' approval too soon. Results will speak for themselves.
And what I mean by that is, in a way, explaining yourself to somebody who may not be the most supportive. It will answer a lot of questions, even if they're rightfully concerned. They're like, oh, I'm so worried about your protein. I'm so worried about this, that. If defending yourself is in a way seeking their approval, and I say that because not that you need to hear a good job from them to validate what you're doing, but if they give you negative feedback, or if they aren't totally 100% supportive, you're doing this mostly on your own, and you're probably doing it for yourself, and it's you need to stay strong in that. You need to stay strong in your health decisions. You can't doubt yourself. No.
And getting in an argument with someone and potentially losing is not going to help you stay on track.
When you stick to it and you start getting your results, then your results will really speak for themselves. And this may take years. My relationship with my family has had to change drastically because it's something that I felt really strongly about. And I didn't always get a lot of respect for that kind of thing. And now I demand it because, well, I have the results. It isn't theory. I have the results. So... And I'm proud of that. I'm extremely proud of that. And I've been able to do it. And it's not a matter of being strong or weak and telling yourself you're just eating too much food, which is what everyone would try to say to you. No, it's a matter of I'm eating healthy and I'm taking healthy steps to make good decisions. And the results speak for themselves for 7, almost coming up on 8 years. Almost.
Wow.
I love food now. Yum, yum, yum.
Yeah, and then it becomes, instead of being, oh, I'm telling you what I learned, it's like, no, this is just what I do.
Yes. You can't tell others what to do. You can't, like even talking to healthy people. Even just talking to healthy people. No naming names, but hilarious story, inside joke of ours, kind of. We were talking to somebody and they said, well, why don't you just put some kale in it? Like our fruit smoothies. And they didn't know anything else about what else that we're doing. But how do you explain? It was very hard to quickly explain to this person No, I don't want to put greens in my fruit
kale,
smoothie.
Kale is great. Kale is great. It's
Wonderful.
It's just so not something that I've learned not to do because I do it a lot.
And to someone who, like, you know, thinks that they eat a lot of healthy food, to them, if you aren't including greens in every part of your diet, they're doing a better job than you. And you're like, no, I eat more greens every day than you eat in a whole month. It's just I eat them for dinner. And even things like that, you can't seek other people's approval because it can actually be very hard to talk about your diet unless you're physically showing somebody what you eat. It's really hard for them to grasp it. You tell someone, I eat, 2,000 calories plus worth of fruit a day, and they're like, okay, yeah, but like, aren't you hungry? No, aren't you hearing me? Do you hear how many calories I'm eating? How could one eat that much and be hungry? Like, they don't process what you're saying because what you're doing is so different. So you can't seek their approval even on a subconscious level. You have to really be strong in what you're doing and talk very, very neutral. Very neutral, really. Like, you can understand that someone may be giving you, trying to, because everyone will chime in about what, I'm eating more fruits and vegetables. They're going to chime in. They're
like,
going to say,
I eat a lot too. I eat this, and I eat this powder, and I eat the whatever thing in my cereal.
And they're like, you should do that too, or like, something like that.
They're trying to, like, add things to their diet.
That can just make it healthier, when really it seems like to everyone else, it seems like you're only taking away things. Exactly, but like we just talked about.
Good, and then filling the spaces with what's left.
Yeah, you're filling the space with like 30 to 50 foods that satisfy your nutritional requirements and help you stay healthy and lean and don't make you gain excess inflammation, like all the other processed foods and animal products that everyone wants to try to push on you for their protein requirements. It just doesn't make sense. You can't look to other people for approval, even subconsciously. It's just you have to go, this is for me.
At the end of the day, you know your body.
It's it's a fine,
you know the difference that it's making in your life.
Absolutely. And and it's a fine line between, and so I come across this issues, and I'm very blunt about this with people that try to talk with me about diet and things like that. They can do what they're going to do, and that's totally fine. But I inherently will always believe that this diet is for the vast majority of people, and they would feel the vast majority of people, like 98% of people, would feel their best eating a very similar diet to this. The only thing that would really change is calorie consumption. But it's a fine line. How do you tell someone, I believe that this is the healthiest diet, but no, I'm not telling you what to do. It's a very hard thing to do, so you have to stand your ground for yourself. Really, you can't go on the offensive with people at all. Because unless you have a ton of, you just shouldn't do that, even if you have a ton of results. Yeah,
I mean, it really should just be, this is what I do, and this is why I do it. And that's as far as you can go. You really can't. If someone's not going to agree with you, talking at them more isn't really going to change their mind. Because they're going to be defending themselves at that point, too. Well, anyway, that's the 6 tips to start a raw vegan diet.
Oh, yeah.
Not to try and simplify it, but those are some things that definitely, if I was starting out and I didn't have anyone to talk to, these are things that I would want to know about.
If you get a hold of these 6 things, these aren't specific tips, like make sure you eat your carbs, eat this much fat, this kind of thing.
Or buy this or buy that. Or
how to have a good psyche about it, basically. How to have a good just mental approach about it, and how to stay you can't disappoint yourself. You can't disappoint yourself when you go and make a bad decision. It's just, you made that decision, it is what it is. Now, you do need to feel what comes of it. Yeah, acknowledge that. Definitely.
And then how do you get back to feeling good and continue?
Continue? Oh, I remembered my point from before now. But it's kind of about...
I'm kind of cold, that's why I'm like shivering, because I just ate ice cream and it's winter.
And we're close.
Probably a shirt would help. But F that.
It's kind of about whether or not someone is willing to acknowledge that what they're doing is actually working for them or not. Because most of the time when I'm talking to people, they're not quite where they want to be, And if they are super convinced of what they're talking about, it's always, well, in time this pays off. Doing all this extra stuff too, and they just don't want to, they just can't see it. And then they also kind of aren't willing to, wait, what were we just talking about? Shoot.
I don't know, but we probably already finished talking about the subject of the video a long time ago. Yeah, we probably won't use this last 5 minutes. Wait, hey! But if you stayed around this long, you'll want to see more of our content, so subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell, which I'm going to put right over Darren's chest right here. Boop.
Okay.
No, I'll put it right over his face.
Well, we can tell who did more talking.
Yep, I did more eating. Oh yeah, but this was the chocolate, vanilla, and strawberry ice cream from my Neopolitan / classic shakes video,
now
which you can watch right here.
Okay, bye!
Wait. Oh. And also, share any other tips. If you have any other tips that you'd like to share with the community, put them in the comments down below so we can see them. And we'll see you next time. Thanks for hanging out at the Raw Edge. I'm High Raw Nick, and
I'm Darren.
All right, bye.